it's extremely interesting. I'm watching CBS New York this morning on Channel 2. It's the weekend, whatever. The local news, though, not like the national broadcast. And they're down at College Point, which is a town. I think it's College Point, Queens. It's Big Rock Beach. There's a supplant there named James and a some woman by the name of Kat. They're doing beach cleanup, which is much needed. They done a while back talking about growing up in these areas and how wonderful they were. I don't know if they could say the same about today's day. But they're all out there. They're participating in good things. And the woman says that she's some kind of water alliance in the local area. She's saying something about they're trying to get the city to switch things back to park and recreation. Now, I know that the intonation says recreation. I've heard them say it my entire life. But there's a underlying druidic contextual resistance word that says recreation. So now are they recreating back to its original glimmer and shine and beauty? Before the city had to have something called Breast Cancer Awareness Month that was not like Belarus breast. It now looks very Louisville, New York. And then there's something called Fight Hunger. Now, which way are they going with this? Because I'm very Austro-Hungarian in the eye. I'm very hungry in the eye for something I can feast my eyes on. And quite frankly, every time I look at the television, it's a poke in the eye. It's not nice. It's not pleasant. It's not entertaining. It's not palatable. It's really an eyesore. And not necessarily these people, because these people are trying to do something nice and they're making a feature out of them and greatly appreciated in the average public. However, the talent that they've been allowing the microphone, not this meteorologist, he's the exception, but there's these things that have come out. Now today, they say something about, I did not know that NYPD has 77 command posts or commanders in charge of their meeting today. Later, they said, for a very special thing about crime going on in New York City. My question, like, is there ever, like, new crimes? I mean, isn't it the same old stuff? Who are the players involved? Like, what's going on? I mean, like, are you ever really surprised just how horrible it all is in, like, actuality? I mean, really, I wouldn't think this is a surprising job, but here we are. I mean, humanity's been at this for a while. I really didn't think there were that many possibilities. They just changed the labels. So anyway, so I'm in this at the moment in the Big Apple in New York. And this is what they're up to in trying to stand for a cause. But my problem is that the missions and the objective and the subjects are not really clearly defined. It's like a drift and a shifting whatever. So it gets very difficult to know what to stand behind cleanly. Like as if your life depended on it, which normally it does.
This is Karen Imus with Waterfront Alliance. Again, you're working with Coastal Preservation Network, but you're for the whole city. What is your mission?
Our mission is to protect and revitalize local waterfronts across New York City and New Jersey. And there are many waterfronts that are owned by the city across this region that are currently underutilized or vacant, like Big Rock Beach, where we are today.
I mean, if Vince takes a view, it's just absolutely beautiful here. But this is almost an abandoned beach because it's not part of the park system. You'd like to see that change.
That's correct. Waterfront Alliance is advocating to re-energize, reinvest in waterfront properties that are currently unavailable really for the public to enjoy. Looking at this site, it's really an amazing opportunity not only to get to the water, but to actually get into the water. Yeah. You could have kayaking programs here, fishing programs, environmental education programs, and also just to improve the safety and the infrastructure here. And we really are advocating for the city to make the public investments necessary to improve these properties, transfer jurisdiction to the Parks Department or other agencies that can actually operate and maintain these spaces so that the local community can come out here and enjoy them.
And then when you see these volunteers, you see kids, and there's a lot of work being done. There's keen interest. People want to see this change, right?
Absolutely. The appetite for waterfront recreation, for programming has grown dramatically in New York City in the last several years, and it's just so heartening to see all these people come out and be stewards of the waterfront, to invest in their community, to be activists, and we'd love to be partners with the city and really, again, creating new opportunities to get people to the local waterfronts.
How do the Austro-Hungarian Hungary and the eye make friendly with the New York City representatives to actively participate and get the right information that they so desperately need when looking at the city from like a wide lens of what's been pronounced? I really don't see many representatives that I see a lot of, like they put on last night, because now it's Arab Heritage Month, only time they've ever spoken of it in New York City. They've moved a lot of people here, it seems, from that region, but they have not done any educational preparation for the receivers of these people that just appear out of like magic overnight and nobody has any idea who they are. And then they congregate secretly only amongst themselves because whatever. So it gets really confusing in this Ramadan that they showed last night, because when they showed it, it looked very much like the Indian Sikhs that were holding the swords in the parade, the holy that were coloring themselves with powder, and then some form of Asiatic in some other whatever. That's what they focused on for the look that they were claiming was Ramadan. Again, I have no benchmark. I don't know how that gets assigned or ascribed. Again, the educational system here is so poor on, they seem to nationalize people and sensationalize people elsewhere, but in New York, it's like mum's the word. Like there's no speak of it whatsoever. So it gets really confusing being held captive by all of these really great people from elsewhere that don't make introductions and just arrive, let's say. So they mentioned something on their last night of this Ramadan. They said they celebrate Eid, or Ed, or Eddie, something along those lines. They break Eddie, or no, they break Edie. Or I'm like, Edie? I'm like, Edie Force? I'm like, no, that's my Oh, that's my sign that there's something atmospherically, like in like catastrophe, like biological breakdown, and the environment is actually being harnessed in the wrong way. I was like, well, that's just prophetic, as in someone's profiting off of this. Now, here's the piece about combating crime.
Today, Mayor Adams is meeting with NYPD precinct commanders trying to get a handle on rising crime in New York City. The meeting follows a shooting this week in Fresh Meadows, Queens, that left 3 teenagers wounded. CBS 2's Christina Fan is live at police headquarters in Lower Manhattan. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Cindy. The commanders of all 77 NYPD precincts will be gathering here at police headquarters later this afternoon. They are tasked with coming up with
77. Is that the Don't Say Gay bill that DeSantis was doing down in Florida, since a lot of our New Yorkers, for some reason, took off and fled down south in some mass e-migrant whatever. I have no idea what or how that even started. But when I was doing real estate in Long Island, all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, everybody was building homes down south, and they were all retiring out of New York, and they were taking whatever, and they just took off. It makes it really hard to find people when you don't even know why they defected to begin with.
up with new, innovative, and fresh ideas on how to combat crime. So far this year, the number of shootings is up more than 8% compared to the same time last year, and we haven't even reached summer yet. More than 100 NYPD top brass will be meeting with Mayor Adams at 1 pp today, discussing how to stop shootings growing more brazen every day. Plans are already in place to tackle summer violence, including new neighborhood safety teams who took 50 guns off the streets in the last 6 weeks. But sources say the mayor wants more. The unusual weekend meeting comes after 3 students were injured in a drive-by shooting near Francis Lewis High School in Queens this week. Portable metal detectors sent to the school 1 day later found over 20 weapons. The discovery prompted the head of the school safety union to demand more metal detectors for city schools.
If you hire enough school safety agents that you have random scanning unannounced, if you have...
Wait a minute, this is not George Floyd. This is Gregory Floyd. And he's something called President of the Teamsters Local 237. That's the wheelhouse.
$10 a day at 10 different schools, that would help. And if you find weapons at that school, you go back, you go back, you go back.
According to Gregory Floyd, only 89 of the city's approximately 1,700 schools have permanent metal detectors. He says random scanning should be done at every single school, even elementary schools.
Yes, I tell you why. You also have adults coming in. You also have children who unfortunately get firearms from their parents.
School safety
How?
is expected
I said to
be
Lynn yesterday, they said something about, they interviewed some of the kids. The kids were like, yeah, my parents gave us pepper spray. I'm like, I wouldn't even know. And I said, Lynn, I go, do me a favor. I go, because I know if like my kids asked for pepper spray, I'd have no clue where to buy it from. I was like, where in New York City does one go for pepper spray, Lynn? And she's like, how would I know? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know either. I was like, but apparently there's parents in the area that know where to go. Like as if there's a store on the street that sells pepper spray. Like, how do these parents even find out these things? It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Here's some more of that Big Rock Beach cleanup.
Of junk that all has to be carted up there. Some new young friends. We're going to meet some of these folks too. But right now we'll send things back to you in the very tidy studio. Back to you, Cindy.
John, thank you. Well, today Mayor Adams is meeting with NYPD.
Here's more of it.
Here, the trash here. I want you to meet my new best friend. Hey, Catherine. Catherine, come on over here. So this is Catherine Servino. She is with the Coastal Preservation Network. And Vince, go ahead and show them this. This is a pile that we just created. What are we looking at?
We're looking at a lot of trash that has been dumped, trash that's dumped down the hillside behind us, trash that washes up on the beach. It always seems that every time we come to this beach to do a cleanup, there's still plenty of trash to be taken. So it comes from a lot of sources, but we're definitely determined to, with the help of all of these great volunteers, to really take back this beach after a lot of years of neglect.
So we have a big dumpster up there, but all of this stuff, we just have to that's iron, that's steel, a lot of plastic, a lot of this stuff. I got to be careful here. A lot of this is this.
Yes.
This is flotation stuff, comes off a boat, and then the water shapes it into this, almost alien-looking stuff. Talk a little bit about the volunteers.
Yeah, so the volunteers are really wonderful. We have people from the community, we have people from local school groups who come and they earn community service.
St. Luke's, right?
I believe these are St. Luke's volunteers. We also have students from Malloy. We have, of course, wonderful CBS volunteers who came out en masse today. And people who just live in this community, and really many of them never even knew that this beach existed, which is amazing. But now that they've discovered it, they're really excited about it and want to make it better.
Yeah, and it's funny, because there's a guy way over there, Charlie. He just saw Vanessa Murdoch's story on this, so he's here. And over my shoulder, I've got a series of bosses. I've got a boss and a boss's boss here, so it doesn't matter where you are in the organizational chart at CBS. A lot of folks here. There's Charlie. There's Charlie. Come on over here. Come on, this is just funny because if nothing else, I want to put Charlie's hat on TV. So get ready for this. So I think the hat says it all. It says, once and forever, a College Point kid.
I love it.
You saw Vanessa's piece, right?
I did.
And you grew up here, your paper...
Is that where we make case and point? Because that was the College Point at some point. Much older than myself, but I still did not get College Point. I still did not get case and point. And I still don't have something over 6 foot to look up to.
Out, stopped a block from
Absolutely.
here, and you just wanted to help.
Absolutely. I don't live in Glen Cove anymore, but...
You don't live here, you live in Glen Cove.
I'm sorry, I don't live here anymore. I live in Glen Cove. I got it. And I just wanted to come back and give something back to College Point because it gave me a great childhood.
Yeah, this is
It's
great.
a great place to grow up.
I love stories like that. Looking forward to more stories. Oh, and by the way, I haven't forgotten, we do our shop local. We're going to shop in College Point. A friend of Kat has a great fitness place that takes it to a whole new level. We'll have that and more your weather coming up in a bit. But Cindy, everybody says hi as we send it back to you in the studio.
All right, John, thank you.
It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.